The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is August 21st, 2019. This is episode 153. This week, Antichrist trending and transhuman rights. My name's Basil.
And my name is Gonzo.
I like tambourines. Woo.
Yes, that's right. We're back with the famous Gonzo, the tambourine man.
That's right.
And, do you know if is he still competing?
I have no clue.
Oh, okay, we got.
If there is a whole competition, I think he just wins because notoriety right now. It's going to take a few years before young tambourine players are inspired to try to take his place. So
until he gets his pop deal with Sony Records.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
I went to Guitar Center the other day and I put a tambourine in my hand. And it felt a little too natural the way I can just shake it and move it around and hit different parts of my body in rhythm.
We got to put that on the Instagram, man. We could just make a whole page of Gonzo the Tambourine Man.
Just an impressionist, ironically also named Gonzo.
Yeah, you know. It occurs to me that every episode of Canary Cry News Talk that we do is somebody's first episode of Canary Cry News Talk.
Yeah, I've realized that. That's probably a thing that happens.
This is somebody's first episode. They're like, the show's fine. They talked about tambourines for the first 5 minutes. I don't really get it, but... So let's jump right into it, Gonz. And speaking of alienating new listeners, it's time for a Flippy Update.
Flippy Update.
Do you want fries with that?
That's right, everybody. Flippy Update. Flippy is the colloquial name for our beloved disembodied robot arm that starts popping up in all industries across the globe, making life better and giving humans a hand. And today... Thank you very much. Today, actually, I don't have a full Flippy update because there just wasn't that much new stuff. There's a couple new things, but I'm going to save them for next week. But for this week's Flippy update, I wanted to just let everybody know how happy I am, how blessed I feel to have found my childhood Tamagotchi.
Oh,
yeah. You must have been a little older during the Tamagotchi phase.
No, I remember them though. Everyone
Did
had
you have one?
I think I had one. I didn't care much of it or much for it, but I do remember having one. Yeah, I was maybe a little bit too old.
That was my first taste of responsibility, baby, keeping that little blob alive. And I found him, my little blob. It's out of batteries, so I'll be replacing the batteries and keeping everybody updated on bringing it back.
Yeah, energy consumption, man. You either need batteries or food.
That's true. Oh, man, I miss that Tamagotchi. I wish my Tamagotchi was alive. And my cat, for one, right now, is fully clawed into my arm. So that Tamagotchis will never do that. Just full,
spewing.
Full claw. All right, Gonz, why don't we get into the stories this week?
Let's do it.
It's going to be biblical.
It truly is. Rawstory.com. The internet freaks out as Trump declares himself second coming.
Oh my gosh.
I expected the Antichrist to have more class, says Travis Geddes of Raw Story here.
Wow, you're really throwing some millennial stank on that.
Is that really stanky?
Really stanky.
President Donald Trump approvingly quoted a superfan who compared him to the biblical second coming of Christ, which set off alarm bells for those who've read the book of Revelations. Pet peeve of mine, Basil. Pet peeve of mine.
It is not the book of Revelation.
It is not plural. It is Revelation.
Yeah.
Singular.
Debunked.
Debunked. It's revelation of Jesus Christ, the apocalypse of Jesus Christ. But, Raw Story, I don't really forgive you for that. But There you have it. Right-wing commentator Wayne Allen Root declared Trump the, quote, king of Israel to defend him from charges of anti-Semitism. And the president tweeted out those remarks to the dismay of many familiar with the biblical account of the end times. Trump only heightened those concerns by declaring himself the chosen one hours later. I don't know if I can even read this.
This is very upsetting to me for a number of reasons.
Multiple layers of just sadness.
Just wrongness. Just so many wrong things. Okay, finish the story and we'll get into it.
All right, so I mean, they have a series
That
of...
is it, right?
That's pretty much it. There's a bunch of tweets that I can read. I'll read a few of them here.
Let's try to bring up the original one, because I want to talk about the actual original tweet.
So Wayne
I have
Allen
the
Root.
important parts here, yeah.
All right, fine. Go.
May I?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so just from what I have pulled up here, the quote that the president is quoting was, "Thank you to Wayne Allen Root for the very nice words." Quoting Wayne Allen Root. Mm-hmm. "President Trump is the greatest president for Jews and for Israel in the history of the world. Not just America, he is the best president for Israel in the history of the world. And the Jewish people in Israel love him."
Okay.
Love him, ... ellipses. So, and it continues. So it goes, "And the Jewish people in Israel love him like he's the king of Israel. They love him like he is the second coming of God. But American Jews don't know him or like him. They don't even know what they're doing or saying anymore. It makes no sense. But okay, if he keeps doing what he's doing, he's good for ellipses." And then I don't have the rest pulled up.
All Jews, blacks, gays, everyone. And importantly, he's good for everyone in America who wants a job. Wow. And tagging... that wow is actually Trump responding.
Got it.
Accepting the compliment.
Right. So Donald Trump sort of accepts this compliment and wants everybody to know that he got this compliment. Now, I've seen so many things today about this on Facebook and articles flying around talking about. Now, here's the thing. Everybody, if you've listened to this show at all, you know that I am not a defender of Trump. I feel no obligation to defend Trump. If Trump needs defending, there's other people who can do it better and with more sincerity than I. Now, I'm not saying I have a problem with anybody defending Trump. I just am not the person to do that.
Okay.
But with that being said, throwing around the Antichrist claims and him claiming to be the second coming of Jesus and King of the Jews is just all rhetorical spin. Because and you know that if you just read the quote. I mean, the quote is from some other guy saying, and the Jewish people in Israel love him like he's the king of Israel.
He's the king of Israel.
Like he's the king of Israel. And I mean, King of Israel is not a title of Jesus Christ. Like first of all, that's not taking anything away from Jesus. Also says he's like, also, it's just talking about people loving him. Now, is it sort of weird and seems really intense and maybe a little bit of an overstatement? Yeah, of course. And then it goes on. They love him like he is the second coming of God. Yeah. Okay, now this is the part where everybody was saying that he's claiming to either be the Antichrist or Jesus, or if he's claiming to be Jesus, that would therefore make him an Antichrist figure.
Right.
But first of all, this is a quote from somebody else. Second of all, second coming of God to Jews, to the Jewish people, the term second coming of God does not refer to the second coming of Jesus Christ. That is not a one-for-one comparison. Mm-hmm. The second... Now, I thought about going through and giving a whole theological case for this.
I was going to say, people might disagree with some of the statements you've already made, just based on their theology. But that's not even really too important, per se.
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, the second coming of God, especially... Well, yeah, I'm open to have a conversation about this. But that's not saying, to a Christian, yes, where Jesus is equated with God, saying the second coming of God would you would equate it with the second coming of Jesus. But this quote is from a Jewish man who I presume, now I don't know this man's heart, but I presume he is not talking as a Jewish man about the second coming of Jesus Christ, which in Jewish theology, if that just isn't anything. I mean,
yeah,
it's, if they didn't think he was the Messiah the first time, they don't believe he was resurrected, and it just doesn't line up. But from Christian eyes, with Christian theology, that term, second coming of God, I could see why people would be triggered by that.
Yeah.
Am I off base here? Am I making sense? I feel like I didn't explain that very well.
No, you're making some sense. I mean, I think the important thing here is the quote itself is, people can draw different conclusions from it. And if this Wayne Allen Root, is he a Jewish man, or is he just, do you know that he's a Jewish man, or is he defending?
I believe I read, yes, that he is, but now you're making me question that. Let me see.
Okay. Well, I'm just wondering, because that would kind of, I think, color the whole thing differently. But even still, I don't think that's really even the key here, because obviously, if you see the words second coming, people associate that with Jesus' second coming, even if you're Jewish. I think people equate that, just in terms of how the phrase has been used in culture, especially in America. The King of Israel, that one, I mean, I guess there's been a lot of, if we're talking about earthly kings, there's been a lot of kings of Israel. I mean, Solomon and, David, those were all kings of Israel. So there could be multiple layers of meaning there. But ultimately, this is a compliment to Donald J. Trump, regardless of whether this man is Jewish or not, saying that, hey, he's really good for Israel, like politically and whatever. And, that's a sentiment that's out there, and that's also a point of contention for others. But regardless, it's like he's just accepting the compliment to a degree. It's not to defend him per se, but just saying, like, that is a weird thing to quote. Obviously, if you're the president of the United States, it's a super weird thing to quote.
I mean, but given what we know about Trump, I don't think we should be surprised.
No, it's not surprising per se, but it is kind of like, oh, whoa, hey, if you're going to quote a whole guy and not like a retweet, like a full-on, like I'm typing it up, a cutting and pasting kind of quote, taking multiple tweets to do it, right? So, yeah, I'm sure that he knows, and his team and everybody, they know that this is going to cause a big old stir in the news cycle. And my question is, what is it really trying to distract us from, right? Because there's always something else going on. But I do find it interesting that you have all these people, and I can't get on Twitter, so I really can't see the way that things are going there, because I've been pretty much locked out of like all 36 accounts of Twitter that I had. Blocked out of all of them. They know who I am somehow. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway,
all your bots,
all my bots, all my my shadow accounts and stuff. But yeah, no, I think the idea that all these people are coming out and like either agreeing with this idea that, oh yeah, he's the Antichrist, or whatever spin they happen to have.
He may be the Antichrist. I mean, I don't know if he is or not.
There's no.
I've definitely heard compelling arguments for it.
I have, I've made a video, just for people who know. I've made a video early on when Trump was elected. Is Donald Trump the Antichrist? And it really wasn't saying that he was. I was more saying, here are the scriptural references that allude to the man of sin and what he might be doing in the end times. And if Trump does these types of things, then we can maybe start talking about that or whatever. But he hasn't. I mean, yes, his stuff that he's doing in Israel is very interesting, I must say.
Yeah,
and I have my own opinions about that. But yeah, I mean, in terms of people responding to it, and the fact that hashtag Antichrist or whatever it was is trending, is a whole nother level. At least for us, shows like ours, Basil. We've been talking about this for a long time. It's come home to roost.
Well, what I do like is that it's trending, because it's going to get a lot of people Googling what is the Antichrist.
Yeah.
And a lot of people interested in that. So I think overall it's good. And now I will stand corrected right now.
Okay.
I don't, if somebody was annoyed or enraged or triggered by my previous comments, it's too bad if they don't make it this far for my retraction. or correction, whatever this is. Anyways, I'm on the Wikipedia for Wayne Allen Root.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a little weird. It kind of seems like it was just added.
Yeah, they probably shifted some stuff around, knowing that
it looks like it, because this paragraph is
being edited currently as you read it.
No. This paragraph is in the early life and education subheading, and it has a very short paragraph that says Root was born in Mount Vernon, New York in 1961. He attended Thornton Donovan School in New Rochelle, New York, and was a member of the class of 1983 at Columbia University studying pre-law and political science. Early life and education. The next paragraph is, in June 2016, Root described himself as a Jew turned evangelical Christian. As of November 2016, Root described himself as Jewish, and says he considers Donald Trump to be the first Jewish president. In the same sense, no, this is the kicker, and says he considers Donald Trump to be the first Jewish president in the same sense that Bill Clinton was often called the first black president. I don't know what that means, but okay.
He played the saxophone.
So there you go. This guy's an American guy. He's not Jewish, and he claims to be a Jew turned evangelical Christian. So there you go. For some reason, I was coming from the perspective that this was a Jewish guy in Israel saying this because it was so intense. It's so bold.
It is pretty bold.
People consider him the king of Israel. I'm like, okay, this has to be a Jewish guy to know this. But no, it's just a Christian guy in America. So that all being said, that's a weird thing for Wayne Allen Root to say.
It's a weird thing for him to say. It's a weird thing for the president to accept so openly.
I see. That's the most unsurprising part for me. Of course, he would.
But I mean, but I think again, I've already kind of shared my thoughts about it. But I think it's to stir things up for one, but also to distract from something else.
Yeah.
And it is. I mean, there's I go back and forth because on one hand, it's like, hey, people looking up the Antichrist, they might find some of our material. But at the same time, I'm like, why are you tweeting about the Antichrist? Like, why are you tweeting things that make people think you're the Antichrist?
Maybe it's all part of the plan.
All part of the plan.
Maybe he is the Antichrist. I don't know, man. Sorry. I don't know. I would be, I'm just going to bring this up because a lot of people have brought it up to me, and I'll mention it very briefly because we got to move on here. But we do have to move on.
We do have to move on. But there's a new group calling themselves, the Modern Sanhedrin. And they have some pretty disturbing plans in terms of, how to govern the world. And so I'll just leave it there. I've been looking into it a little bit because a lot of people have been bothering me and telling me to look at it.
Do you want to talk about it in the extended report?
We can do that, yeah. We can bring it up.
So there you go. If you guys want to hear more about that, you can head over to patreon.com/CCNT and sign up to get support the show, first of all, and get an extra episode every single week. And we'll have Gons share that this week.
Awesome.
Okay, I'm going to skip down a little bit, Gons.
Yep.
For time.
I see it.
Yep.
Are you ready to become cyborg?
That is right. This is Yahoo News. Yahoo.com, which, by the way, is now owned by a company called Oath. Yep, and when you go to Yahoo.com, this little pop-up comes up and is like, Yahoo.
We reported on Oath when they first came out.
Is owned by Oath. We did. And if you would like to view this article, you must agree to give us your data.
And blood.
Yeah, it's very nice that they're like open about it like that, and you have to consent. But Oath is just so ominous. Okay. Here we go. Yahoo.com. Body modification, BDSM, and transhumanism should be legalized, a think tank has suggested. What a fun group of things to just clump together. The Adam Smith Institute said, quote, utterly outdated. end quote, assault laws mean consent is not a valid defense against the practices. It claims current legislation is applied inconsistently, particularly damaging sexual, cultural, and ethnic minorities. The benefits would include greater personal freedom, protecting people's expressions, and enabling new technology to enhance the human experience, it added. The pro-liberation think tank said people should be able to choose if they want body modifications to perform sexual acts such as bondage, discipline, and sadomasochism. And that's what BDSM is. It also wants Britons to be able to become transhuman by using, quote, technology to evolve beyond our current physical and mental limitations. The Offenses Against the Person Act is what currently dictates what is illegal in cases of assault. Some updates have been made to it since it was drawn up in 1861, such as to allow surgery and tattoos. But interest in it spiked when a man who self-styled himself as Dr. Evil was sentenced to more than 3 years in jail and convicted of grievous bodily harm for performing procedures on paying and consenting customers, including splitting someone's tongue and removing an ear and a nipple.
Yep.
Wow.
The mutilation.
Yeah. They said and a nipple. I think it was the same person got their ear and their nipple taken. At the time, the judge admitted the body modification industry was unregulated, a point that Adam Smith Institute has leapt on. Its new report released says because the law lags behind so much, interpretation of it depends on the, quote, personal prejudice of judges and public opinion. Ben Ramanauskas, author of the paper Consent Held Back by Pride and Prejudice, said current law, quote, criminalizes people for activities taking place in private and involving consenting adults. He added, the law needs to change. A more liberal approach would uphold individual liberty, reduce harm, and help to ensure that as humanity engages with futuristic technology, Britons can benefit. The Ministry of Justice has not responded to a request for comment.
What are they planning for the Britons over there?
Britons! Yeah, things are about to get much more exciting. But apparently on the books, a law from 1861 makes it complicated to be someone who participates in body modification, BDSM, and transhumanism. Wow, that is just such a fun grab bag of things.
Yeah, can you imagine that conference?
Yeah, and put them all together.
I mean, I think they already do that. I think it's called Bohemian Grove.
Very nice. I don't know why Borat made an appearance there.
Just a weird.
But that's welcome to the show, everybody. So yeah, there you go. And this is in Britain, so that's very interesting. I was not aware that there were some legal issues with these types of things. In the body modification sector, I mean, it's just interesting that these three things really apply to a kind of a similar group of people.
Yeah.
And when we look into modern practical transhumanism, which includes, putting in little chips into your hand or fun lights and whatever to help, we've talked about this. Guys putting magnets in their fingers, stuff like that, to try to kind of become superhuman. Those type of people kind of cross over with the body modification people. We've seen the dragon lady. I think it's, got their tongue split and little horns implanted in her forehead. And I guess it doesn't surprise me, but that both of those sort of milieux cross over with BDSM. Yeah. It kind of all seems connected.
Well, it's interesting how it all has it's interesting that this particular thing is wrapped in this liberty kind of movement, right? Like, we got to free the people, the two consenting adults doing what they want to do. And at the same time, it is truly a lowering of the bar in terms of the value of the flesh kind of thing, where it's making the body, obsolete or just, dehumanizing it or whatever.
So of course there's the transhumanism arguments and body modification can be fit in there, and then BDSM sort of being its own sort of parasexual topic that we haven't really touched on very much.
No, we haven't. A topic
but here's the thing. It's weird that the language is body modification, BDSM, and transhumanism should be legalized. Now, I don't know what the laws exactly are. They don't really go into that. But, I mean, it's hard for me to want to legislate anybody out of
wanting to do that kind of stuff.
I know. I just, at my core, don't really believe in trying to legislate people into the kingdom of God, is the term that I've used in the past. Now, of course, if it's hurting someone or taking away the rights of others, that's a whole nother thing entirely. I'm down for legislation when it comes to that. Yeah. But I don't know. I'm not very popular in that less than conservative idea.
But I think there is a point to be made there, and keeping the freedoms of whatever you want to do behind closed doors. I kind of understand that part of it. But I do see how societally it's kind of, it's just the frog in the kettle kind of thing. It's just dialing it up just a little bit more in terms of the kinds of things we've talked about with human, or at least a kind of world that reflects the days of Noah,
But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man.
So it's not surprising. Not surprising at all.
Not surprising at all. Okay, so we got a very short time left in the show. Man, this show just flew. We got caught up in something. Wow.
Trump's Antichrist tweet.
Yeah, that was unexpected. So I'll just say it right now before we jump into this last story here. If you guys, we're going to continue talking about these things, as well as the Bulgarian White Brotherhood ritual that happened recently, as well as some white nationalists and occultists clashing a little bit, and a couple other stories in the extended report you can get at patreon.com/CCNT. And check that out. Support the show. Get more shows. Okay. Last of all, Gons.
Here we go.
That's right. We've been talking about this for a while, just interesting developments in VR and AR. And somebody was listening to the show, Gons, because according to Forbes.com, 5 companies using virtual reality to improve the lives of senior citizens. I know. They're getting them used to it so they can put them to work to control robots. Virtual reality is emerging as a useful tool to bring about positive change for many, including the elderly, from reducing loneliness to transporting the infirm to far-flung places without the need to travel. VR is enhancing the lives of senior citizens across the globe. To mark National Senior Citizens Day, I've taken a look at some of the companies using the immersive power of virtual reality to make a difference. And long story short, Gons, seems like a couple business folk were listening to our episodes from about a year ago, and a few companies have popped up to bring VR into the lives of senior citizens. This spans from, letting them experience travel with sort of a VR Google Earth experience, all the way to letting them experience the times of their youth by putting together some Frank Sinatra concerts with actors all dressed like they're in the 50s and letting the senior citizens watch the concert in VR and feel like they've traveled back in time.
Yeah, this, well, first off, all these companies, they must have been doing some market research and came across our episode, and that's where they got these ideas, because it's more than one company. It's multiple.
Where's my check?
Yeah. So you're welcome, companies. But also, I think it's interesting because this is leading to even more bizarre situations where memories are recorded, and these people might be able to return, play back some of their memories from when they're children and whatnot. That type of market may exist with, just everything being digitized now to organize some of that information for a quick revisit of, your past life experiences and whatnot. this is just more progress. The elderly are the perfect target market to test this stuff on because they really can't get out, So I'm sure it does help them with how they deal with certain things, but also
sounds great to me, man. I mean, until they start putting them to work controlling robots in factories, I'm all about letting the elderly fly around space and go visit India on Google Earth. In fact, I think this is a pretty good business opportunity. If anybody wants
to invest, spew more ideas.
Yeah, if anybody wants to invest in my senior citizen VR club, hit me up.
Hit me up. Here's the sci-fi storyline is one of these old guys with the VR or old gal. They hack the system from their chair, in the old folks' home, and they start taking over all the different platforms and industries.
Yeah, there you go. Like Johnny Depp in that one movie.
Transcendence,
Transcendence. Okay, everybody, there you go. Man, this show flew by. So we got a lot more to talk about. We're going to do that over at patreon.com/CCNT. You can get extended reports and all sorts of other fun gifts and rewards over there and support your favorite show. But more than that, if you got friends who have not listened to Canary Cry News Talk and they are still getting their news from the mainstream media, you got to grab them by the shirt collars and shake them, baby.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
I'm for the robot.
That's right. Going out there, rattle a few cages. Tell them that Canary Cry News Talk is where it's at. And we'll see you over at the extended report right now. And make sure to tune in next week to Canary Cry News Talk. But until then, think outside the cage.